Okay. So body fat. So we want to look at your body fat percentage. Like, what does it actually mean to get lean? So there's a breakdown for body fat percentage, right? To see what does it actually mean. And for men and women, it's different. The body fat percentage is different. So first of all, when we look at like men, the ranges that men should aim for and strive for is so you want to figure out like, okay, what body fat percentage do you really want to get to? Because a specific body fat percentage will determine how your body responds and adapts as well. So when we're looking at men, the ranges that often look something like this for like body fat percentage and healthy to lean, right? If you're over these numbers, you're probably getting towards like obese. If you're like over 25, I'd say like 25, 30%, you're obese, like you're quite there. So you want to do something about that. But 18 to 22 generally considered healthy, sustainable range, and 12 to 15 visibly lean, abdominal definition often present. 8 to 10, a very lean, typically requires careful maintenance. So, right, yeah, 8 to 10, when you're talking like 10% and below, you're now talking about maybe someone can consider going on a stage to compete in a bodybuilding show. So especially if you're natural, it's much harder to go past like the 5%, 3% body fat percentage because it takes a lot to really dial it in to get to that level. So as I can tell, I can show you here. I've got an image here. Let's see. I think I showed you in the last stream what we had. So this is the comparison for me right here. So I dropped down. I would say like maybe this is like 7, 8 body fat percentage. Over here I was like 10, 12. I didn't really like measure, but you can still see the difference here. So this is not necessarily all body body fat, but it definitely is a lot of water weight that I was still holding on, right, between the two shows. So when you strip down your fat, you're gonna have some visible abs, right? So if we're looking at this using this marker here, so visibly lean abdominal definition and often present, and 8 to 10 visibly lean typically requires careful maintenance. So definitely this was like now 8 to 10. I dropped down, I was under 10. And yeah, but probably not anywhere close to like 5 or 4%, but definitely pretty lean and probably the leanest that I've ever been. And so this right here shows you that you can get there naturally. But it does require work because over here I was struggling to maintain this alone because before this competition I actually went out and had a pizza before this competition. But no, I didn't go out, but I ordered a pizza because I was struggling to just keep up with my diet. It was tough and I didn't have a coach. I was doing it on my own, so support wasn't really there. And over here, I had hired a coach, and he helped me get really lean and dial in everything. So that was in 2016. But again, more recently, this was just last year. So as I was saying, like I did gain a bit of weight, right? This was intentional. I got to like 204 pounds, right? Like this was 204 and this was me dialing it in. So I got to probably about like 9 body fat percentage. This was me dialing it in, and this is the difference, right? So like it's possible, like your body will adapt and adjust. Was I happy with this level of body fat? No, I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy. I could tell that I was I was putting a lot of strain on my body, and movement was getting a bit harder. But at the end of the day, I recognized and realized that I could actually drop down and actually go to a body fat percentage that I could manage consistently over time. And it doesn't mean that I stay lean to that level, but I still put on a bit of weight. So instead of getting to like 204 pounds, I would probably maybe get to like 170 max. 180 is like a lot for me. I can actually feel it. Like 172 is like 170 is also quite a bit. So I try to always bring it down and make sure that I'm like 10, I mean 15 to 20 pounds off the mark because I still need to refeed my body for those biological processes to take place. And I cannot stay in a caloric deficit all the time or year round. So I still have to maintain and make sure that my body is healthy. So you have to take care of your health. So it's not these idealistic numbers that you see people telling you on social media, on Instagram, but you just want to be healthy. So you want to balance it. That's why a lot of times, if you're natural and you're looking to get lean, you and also put on size, you bulk, you cut, you bulk, you cut. You kind of go, back and forth between the two. But the main thing is you want to be in control of that process. You don't want it to happen where you gain weight and you're not in control of that. But you want to gain weight when you're in control as well. And you understand the how and why you're gaining weight. Not that you just gain weight all of a sudden, you look at the scale, you're surprised, you're like, oh, wow, how did I get to this number? So that's why it's so important to understand what is the cost to get lean because it's going to require some structure. It's going to require some things that you have to put in place for yourself. So that's it for men, and for women it's a bit different because women are responsible for giving life, giving birth, and their hormones are very particular and they require a lot more fat on their body. So imagine if they were to give birth, they want to have enough for the baby that they would give birth to, whether it's like the nutrients and production, cell production. So, all of those things are important processes. And women have that responsibility just by nature. So, they tend to have a bit more fat in general. And so, for healthier ranges for women, we're looking at 25 to 30% body fat, generally healthy and sustainable, and 20 to 24% body fat that's visibly lean and athletic. And 16 to 19 body fat is very lean for women. And below 16 is extremely lean. And if women go into like the below into the tens, they're like competing for a bodybuilding show. But that also disrupts their hormones for sure. That's going to disrupt their hormones. And you find that sometimes when women try and get so lean, they tend to develop a voice, a hoarse voice, and some of their features start changing. And there's differences in how they look and maybe they can present themselves. Not to say it's for every woman, right? It's, this is dependent on what each person is doing and the lifestyle. So, in general, women want to stay in the 20s, 25. You're much healthier at that body fat percentage. And if women try and get, way below like 10%, it's gonna cause their bodies to compromise in some ways. And it could be compromising hormones, compromising with reproduction, right? Reproduction system, energy balance. It could be so many different things depending on the person, depending on the lifestyle. And brain fog could be another thing. So these are things that people need to take into account to say, okay, so if I'm trying to lose weight or get in shape, what exactly am I giving up? So, based on what leanness looks like to you, right? So if you're a man, if you're a woman, you need to figure out like, okay, what does a lean look like to me? What does that look like? And when you're clear on what leanness looks like to you, you will be able to determine like, okay, so based on my genetics, based on your training, based on your body type, everything, and your lifestyle, like how does this determine what's your target for leanness and what price are you willing to pay? What price are you willing to pay? Because these are real questions. These are the real questions. And maybe the question shifts after this. Maybe the question is now, what kind of lifestyle do I want to sustain? Maybe the focus is on the lifestyle and it shifts. It's not about just being lean, it's about what you do on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, over time. What does that look like? Who do you become? Maybe it's about your identity shifting based on your actions instead of how you look.